So the reason why we want to save money, because number one, we want to store our capital. That's the first thing we want to do. Number two, we want to get out of debt. Because again, we don't want to have consumer debt hanging over our heads while we're trying to build wealth. Because when you go that route, and I've done it, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of pressure, and it creates more problems than what you originally had. What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of The Function, where the goal here is to equip men with the tools to function as the men they're supposed to be in our society today. And this is our Finance Tuesday. So we're going to be talking about part two of the triangle of wealth. A few weeks ago, we talked about earning income, the importance of just earning income first before we go into anything else. We have to earn income in order to invest, save. That's the only way we can actually get started. So our part two is going to be about saving money. I used to think that once I earn income, I have to invest right away. It took me a while to understand that I need to actually keep my capital before I can go out and make any kind of investment. Because what if I have debt? What if I have other obligations that I need to pay off? Well, if I don't handle that, I'm going to pay more interest down the road. You can't outinvest a 20%, 25% credit card interest. You can't outinvest a car payment, right? You can't outinvest student loans. Like, you have to take care of these things. You don't take care of your car payment, guess what? You get repoed, right? If you don't make your payments on credit cards, guess what? Affects your credit. Same thing with student loans. And then you can't do certain things. So it took me a while to realize this. And once I saw the importance of earning income and then saving money, that's when things really changed for me. In fact, to this day, I've paid off almost $20,000 of credit card debt. By the time January comes around, I'm going to be borrowing from my life insurance policy again, because that's what we use to get out of debt is life insurance. I'm going to use the policy and just pay off my car and just repeat the same cycle with my wife's car next. So in today's episode, I want to focus on saving money. Let me go ahead and share my screen with you. And let me pull this up because I want to make this our foundation. So as you can see here, you have earning income, and then you have saving money. So the reason why we do it this way, because we can't skip steps when we're trying to build wealth. Now, this chart here is by Jerry Feta. That's where I found it. And they've been super, super, super helpful with my finances. It's just been incredible. I've been with them since 2020. And if you have any questions about what they do and how they do it, just reach out to me and I can point you in the right direction. So let's go to saving money. What is the meaning of saving money? Well, let's go to Investopedia. It says savings refers to the money that a person has left over after they subtract out their consumer spending from their disposable income over a given time period. Savings, therefore, represents a net surplus of funds for an individual or household after all expenses and obligations have been paid. So if we have nothing left over to save, that should be our number one concern. We should look at what we're spending. We should look at, especially as men, we're providers. We're expected to provide for our families, for ourselves if we're living by ourselves. And we have to get the idea of saving money down, because if we don't, then we're going to have debt that will never be taken care of, right? Because if you're, trying to invest or you're just consuming, then you're just running the same cycle, running this rat race of never being free from these obligations, right? So when you look at savings, it's not the prettiest thing. We just want to jump right into investing. The issue is we're going to take on more risk if we have no capital. We're going to take on, more debt, especially if you're using credit card debt to try and invest. It doesn't work out too much. It really doesn't, because you can never outinvest 20% interest. If I'm earning 8 to 10 on a real estate deal, but my interest payment plus the interest is 20%, I'm not making any profit. I'm losing profit from that, right? So the reason why we want to save money, because number one, we want to store our capital. That's the first thing we want to do. Number two, we want to get out of debt. Because again, we don't want to have consumer debt hanging over our heads while we're trying to build wealth. Because when you go that route, and I've done it, There's a lot of stress, there's a lot of pressure, and it creates more problems than what you originally had. So the best route is first you earn income and then you save your money. Now, the next question is, where do you save your money? Well, like I mentioned earlier, I put it in a whole life insurance dividend policy. The reason why I do that because life insurance has been around for years. When I store my capital, I borrow from the policy and then I go either invest or I'm paying off my debt. Now that debt that's paid off from borrowing from the policy, I'm going to redirect that minimum payment back into the policy. So you see, if I do it from the bank, let's just say, I'm saving money in the bank, I'm going to pay off my credit card. Well, that's great. You paid off your credit card, but you don't have that capital anymore. You won't be able to see that capital again. With a life insurance policy, my money's still growing. It doesn't leave. It keeps growing at 3 to 5%. I borrow and I pay 1 to 3% on an annual basis. And then I just keep repeating that cycle over and over again until I'm debt free. I have over $50,000 in my life insurance policy to start borrowing to start investing. You see, when we skip steps in building wealth, we create more problems. That's why when you see people earning income and you see them wealthy, you're like, how do they get there? Well, first of all, they know they can produce, right? They know they can, earn their income and they can make money. They've already done it over and over again. Now, what you have to focus on is your current situation. You can't get caught up in what they're doing. Can't compare your financial position to a millionaire because you're not a millionaire yet, right? And I'm not a millionaire. So what I would suggest you do is set goals and then have an amount of money you want to put into the policy. Maybe it's $500 a month, maybe it's $8,000 a year, whatever your goal is, right? And then what I would do next is I would automate it. I would not, set it up where I have to do it myself. It just doesn't work because that money is just going to get moved somewhere else. So you need to have a plan with this. You want to automate your savings because once that comes up, it's like a bill. When a bill comes up, you got to get the money for it. Same thing here. If you automate your savings, you're going to actually save more. And I've noticed that in my own life. I've saved a lot of money in my policy and it's still growing. It's going to not be taxable because the dividend whole life insurance policy is not taxable. And when I'm done paying off all my debt, I'm going to have all this capital to go out and invest. I'm not going to be losing my money anymore. The money I'm using to pay off my debts, I'm going to gain it back in the future. And I'm going to use that capital while it grows at 3 to 5%. So I'm not just making 3 to 5%. I'm also going to be making money in investment deals as well simultaneously. But I want to focus on savings because another reason why you want to focus on savings is prepare for emergencies. I had a job loss 2 months ago, out of my control. I had a massive layoff. And I had all this capital in my life insurance policy. Now, thank God I found something quickly for work, but I'm glad I had that capital stored because if I needed it, I can pull it out to take care of our expenses. You need to have it set up where you have 6 months of expenses covered because if you don't have that, any moment now you could lose a job, right? There could be housing costs. That's another thing. Medical expenses. We have to consider these things. If we don't think about this now, when those things happen, because it could happen, we're not going to be prepared. What's our solution if we don't have savings? We borrow, right? Credit card debt, loans, and then we're paying the banks back and we're not getting any capital. By the way, if you keep your money in a bank, you're making like 0.1% interest. You're not making anything with that. You got to know where you're going to store your money. Store it in a whole life insurance dividend policy. Get committed, stay committed because this is not a short-term way to wealth. It's not. It's a long-term game. You got to play that way. And another thing is the reason why you want to save money, you want to prepare for recessions. Recessions are not going to go away. They're going to come again. Prepare for inflation. Inflation doesn't just disappear. It will always be here, right? The percentages will change, but inflation is always around. Think about how much a suit used to cost 10 years ago. How much it used to cost going out to eat 10 years ago. Think about that. The costs have gone up, right? So in order to get ahead of this, we want to store our money in a place where the capital is protected, it grows, and is tax-free. And then I can use that capital to go and either pay off my debt or invest. Now, again, paying off debt is an investment because you're freeing yourself from that obligation. And the great thing is, once you're done paying yourself back, you've got all this capital to go start investing. And it doesn't stop, you keep saving. So, again, have a goal with what you're trying to do. Mine's right now, I'm saving 12 to 13% per month. That's my goal. Now, I want to get that to 15 to 20% next year because I'm trying to be realistic with my goals. I'm not trying to set too much of an expectation that if I don't hit that goal, I'm not going to do it. Right. So just think about your goals and just be realistic, but do something, even if it's 5%, 10%, whatever it may be. Because at the end of the day, your goal is to save 40% of your income. That's what the wealthy do. They save 40% of their income. So if we're going to get there, we have to take care of the things that have us as slaves because debt is, you're a slave to it, right? Consumer debt is slavery. So take it serious. Don't just say, oh, I'm going to spend $2,000 on the latest and greatest fashion stuff. Who are you trying to impress? I'm not trying to impress nobody. I want to be wealthy. I want to make sure I have enough I can give back to my church. I can provide enough for my family, and I can continue to control my time. That's what I want to do. I'm not there yet, but I want to control my time because once I have the ability to do what I want when I want, I can help others. That's the beauty of, when you save and you continue to save, you can go use that money and help others. So just think about that. So my biggest recommendations, if you're, new to this or if you need help saving money, first thing is set goals. Second thing is prepare for emergencies. Even if it never happens, just be prepared. Third thing is store your capital somewhere. You don't store your capital, it's never going to happen. And the last thing is just set realistic expectations when it comes to your finances. Yes, I know you want to pay off your car by tomorrow, but that's not realistic, right? Have a plan. Like next year, I know I'm going to pay off my car in January, and I got to pay that back to the policy. And whatever I make in my commissions for AEP, that's the busiest time of the year to sell Medicare. I'm taking as much money as possible and using it for the sacred account. I'm using it for my life insurance policy. That's what I'm using it for. We call it sacred account because it's sacred. I know this now. So do you have a plan going into 2023? Do you have a plan right now? Because if you don't have a plan, it's never going to happen. So I would suggest is do those 4 things. And I guarantee you're going to function as a better man. You're going to have more peace with your finances and you're going to have direction. That's the key. You want to have direction. If there's no direction, you're just going to be stressed. You're going to be confused. You're not going to know what to do next. Now, if you're looking to earn more income, go check out part 1 of the Triangle of Wealth, where I talk about the importance of earning income. And I'll see you in the next video.